What I love most is talking to investors that have achieved incredible things, but they don't have a product or a service to sell me at the end of it, right? Like, there are people out there that just love property investing and they've done some incredible things and they've achieved incredible results. They don't need to push or sell anything. And that's exactly what this guy's done. He's not doing he started doing property developments, right? He started growing and learning. Like I'm gonna give you some topics that we spoke about, right? One of them was unpaid rates. This guy bought his first property for $18,000 and it was only 10 years ago. It was actually less than 10 years ago. Then there's another one, granny flat subdivisions. Then we've got rooming houses. Then we have, this guy's just kind of evolved, but he's not into these 1 into 10 developments and 1 into 50 developments. He's sticking to the small scale. And I think that this is where it kind of gets exciting for the everyday investor to say, look, you're doing your job. Could you be doing this on the side and starting to build something a little bit more? And the answer is probably yes. This session is awesome. I love this investor conversation. It is literally just a couple of guys having some beers over property, and that's what you get to sit in on here. But it's value throughout the entire thing. We definitely have to get him on more, and I think you're going to love this one. Hey everyone, my name is Joe Tucker, and together with Jeff Miles, we created Oz Property Investors and the Level Up Property Investment course. This thing is ripper. Teaches you how to grow from nothing to an incredible portfolio. But each week we interview top property experts, and tonight is no different. Michael Lynn, he's a property developer. He's barely got a Facebook. He created the Facebook page, shares a couple of videos on there, and that's about it. So this is an investor conversation. You're going to love it. Let's dive in. How do you think about developers? So you need to know what's coming up next. What are some of the other things that a developer must think about and must do to be successful?
That's a broad question. Okay, number one thing, you got to know price.
Okay.
I don't know the process because the process always changes.
Yeah, price to build versus price to buy. Like, what does price mean?
Prices in terms of acquisition, because build prices are pretty consistent across the board, right? Like whatever it is per square meter. I'm not going to go with the most expensive builder or the cheapest builder, blah, blah, blah. But I need to know what is a good deal. That's why I'm able to action deals like on the spot. I got one Friday, he told me the price. Yes, done. That's it. Like, because I know what a good deal is. I know it's 10% below market. You just need to know certain things. You don't need to know everything. You just need to know price.
And you make money when you buy.
Yeah, you make money when you buy. It's the same with developers, investors, renovators. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You still need to know the price. And that's why it's really important to engage someone who knows what they're doing. Because if you don't know, when you say that you're from Sydney, they're going to charge you more, right? But the other thing is you're looking at it from Sydney eyes. Right. So everything's cheap to you. If you're from Sydney, you go up to Queensland, everything's cheap. And I know this because of my parents' experience. They bought 4 properties from the same agent. They got ripped. Like they paid $100 grand more on each of the sites, and they bought 4 from this one agent. And that's another reason why I started educating myself, because I didn't like that. I didn't like that you're subject to someone else's bullshit, and we don't even know if they're telling the truth or not. So you need to know. These are non-negotiables.
And that'll happen. That'll happen to locals or interstate. Like it's more about the cost of inexperience, I would say, because that's what you said there about and anybody watching us about developing. It's literally figuring out what price you need to buy that site for. If you overpay for the site, you're going to be behind the 8 ball. And that's where I would imagine most people lose money. Yes, you can, of course, there can be cost overruns. You can hit sort of bedrock and all that sort of stuff, which is not going to help. But if you sort of get it wrong from the start, it's just very hard to then make profit. And then everything that goes wrong, because things will go wrong, you'll then sort of turn it from a deal that sort of breaks even to a deal that loses money.
100%. Yeah, it's worth that investment. So, you can. You can spend a whole bunch of time looking for the best builder and all that kind of stuff, or with different contractors, but you should invest that in your own knowledge. Once you know, then you just know. It's just, I don't know how else to describe it. Yeah.
How do you think about finding people to invest in your project, and do you present them with the full due diligence brief? This sounds like Elijah might have a deal on his hands.
Or could we even, sorry, before you go back, because we're assuming here that he actually takes on outside sort of partners. Like, how do you fund your deals at these days, or how did you?
So I don't have a website. I don't have, a way for people to, well, they do contact me. I just had someone ask me today. I generally don't work with people I don't know, because it's really important to, it's not just about money. It's about working with the right personalities. And it doesn't mean that the other party's bad, or I'm good and they're bad, and they're bad, I'm good, or what? Sorry, I'm bad, they're good. It doesn't matter. It's whether you vibe with each other, because if you guys do not vibe, it doesn't matter how much money you make. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. At the beginning, you kind of, pull your pants down and just, do deals with everybody. I understand that, but it's just, it's, you need to keep the end in mind, because it becomes a bit of like a drug, right? It's like easy money. But the thing is, you do these deals, and then you come out of it and you're like, didn't really make that much. Was that really worth that effort? Do you know what I mean? That year that I just lost, those hours of sleep or whatever it is. And usually the answer is no. So I get where Elijah's coming from. I'm not trying to be unsympathetic to, his scenario or his question, but how I kind of started was, one way I suggest to people who do ask me this question, I'd be telling them to share what they're doing, because it's really hard to convince people to give you their money, right? Then you can convince people, but then people start thinking they're the money, they're your boss essentially, and I don't like that. So it's just, you kind of have to, be clever about it. But at the beginning, just share your journey, share what you're doing. Say, for example, I've never done any deals. I'd be sharing, hey guys, Michael here. Today I'm looking at this and I thought this was interesting, this new planning policy that's come out at Moreton Bay or whatever, right? So it's like you're just sharing that so people know that you're into this, and you might be someone that they might think of later on, so you got to share. And I'll give you a scenario. One of my experience, one reason why I started doing videos, because I shared, just what I'm doing, kind of videos. The reason why is because at one of these property events, I didn't like the fact that there was a lady that I met. I'm not going to name her. I forgot her name anyway. But there was a lady that I met, and she said that she's from Ride. And I was like, oh, cool. Wait, awesome. Blah, 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 blah. I was asking questions. And then she got all weird. Like, her face went all like, oh, you're asking a lot of questions. And I was like, well, we're at a property event. Like, okay, sorry. Well, cool. And then at the next break, I saw her again, and I didn't approach her this time because of what she said. And I just, waved at her like, hello, because we, made eye contact. And then she was all like this to me. And I was like, what the hell? And I was thinking, what am I doing wrong? So then I started, you know what? I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to make it so that people come up to me, right, at the next property event that I go to. So I started sharing. It's not that hard to share. Oh yeah. Then it's like too much of. but
I mean, I love chatting to people, but I like to go up to people sometimes. But anyway. So it's interesting you say that, because even what I was going to say, you need to, I suppose, be a little bit careful when you're kind of sharing, because there are some certain restrictions around raising capital. So if you're saying, hey,
I just share deals. I don't share like to raise funds.
Yeah, I'm just, for anybody watching, is like, I'm going to go and talk about this 1 into 20 deal that, like, DM me tomorrow for an IM or whatever information around it. Just be careful of that, because you'll get yourself into trouble a little bit sometimes, maybe. Said, any hot tips on finding these low rundown places? Probably, I'd say, just quickly, James, before Michael answers, pick up your phone and get on the phone and speak to the agents. It's the easiest way of doing it. I don't know, like, is it much more advanced than that? Like, I don't know.
No, that's it. I look for the ugly ones, ugly ducklings. That's what I call them, right? The uglier, the better. There was a strategic advantage where we're picking up sites that no one else wanted. So think about it, right? If it's a raw block of land, who's going to build there? Someone's going to build their home there. And most people did want to build their home next to the train station, for example, or on the main highway. Like that property that you saw, that's a 8-lane road. It cuts right through Brisbane. Like, half people Brisbane know that's my rooming house. So you're really trying to identify an opportunity that you're not fighting against your mum and dad or some owner occupier or whatever it is. It's just strategy. As long as you have your strategy set out, then it kind of just falls into place. Like, again, I'm not a detail oriented person. I just try to be as strategic as possible, because
look at it, the macro, right? Like, if someone's
yes,
going to rent just one bedroom and one bathroom, wouldn't they own a car? Probably not going to own 5 cars each. So where would they like to have access to? Maybe a train station or a bus stop,
yeah.
or
Or
but
a
yeah, it's just,
KFC. That one's a KFC. Yeah, tenants love the KFC. I love
I mean, I love
KFC.
it. I mean, everyone
Yeah.
loves KFC.
All right, we've got that financial advice thing, right? Like that disclaimer.
Yeah,
So I'm not going to get sued
done.
for
The
giving
start,
advice.
yeah.
Okay, cool. So this is just my opinion, right? But if
Yeah.
someone wants to get into development, there's a certain strategy that I'm a big fan of. I don't do them because, well, I've done a few, but they're just, we're just kind of at a different level. Yeah, at a different level now. But if I was starting the journey, oh my God, this is amazing. So there's a certain strategy that I've done where you have a house, right? You got a house,
Yep.
your house, wait, your
Squares.
house,
Yep.
and you renovate the house, right? Obviously, there's one potential uplift, right?
Yep.
But also, you can rent the house and you can build another house at the back. So basically, a granny flat, you know, cool, doing development, awesome.
Yep.
So that's 2 potential uplifts. Then the third uplift, that's why this is a cracker for a first aspiring developer, is that you can strata subdivide it. Not torrents, but you can strata
Yeah.
subdivide it, and then you can sell them off individually. And this is nothing mind blowing, but the numbers will blow your mind, right? And I'm not
Look
saying this
far
is the
better.
result everyone's gonna have, but I'll give you an example. Okay, I bought one. We bought it for 850, right?
Wow. Okay.
And
Not cheap.
we're renting for 650, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then we strata subdivide,
Mm-hmm.
and then we sold the front house for what we paid for it, 850,
Wow.
right?
Yeah. There you go.
And then the real one, and look, the build cost us like, let's just say 350, right?
Yeah, I was going to say
Including like
350-ish. Yeah.
cost, 350. Um, and then we sold that real one for 950.
What?
Wow. Okay. So you're talking.
Sweet
So
Jesus.
I mean, yeah, there's some costs in there and all that. So you're probably talking the
Yes,
best part
high
of
level.
close to $500,000, just under
That's an
3 to 4.
absurd deal. That is ridiculous.
But
Half
the
a
great
mil.
thing is, yeah, but the great thing is that it's something that a entry person could buy into. Like, well, I
Definitely.
shouldn't
Yeah.
say that. I don't want to make assumptions, but I'm just saying that you're buying something that's generating income. So it's not like you're losing income. Usually with development, you lose income. You knock the house down, shit, you're stuffed, right? You're still generating rent. And this is a strategy. And this is again, you don't know this. Like, no one even, when I found this strategy, I didn't even know about it. It wasn't even spoken about in any of the courses. Like, it's
No.
not a new concept, but no one in the networks, in any of the Facebook groups, no one even mentioned it. This is like a sleepy place. But then I find out that there's a guy who's done over 100 of them. And, like, so I'm talking to him. So, I'm talking to this guy, and how I kind of got there was I asked the question. So I was looking at the site and I spoke to the agent, and the agent's like, oh yeah, you can do 4. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, so what would you do? And I always have these key follow-up questions. And he's like, oh, you're asking me? What would I do? I'm like, yeah, I'm asking you, what would you do? What would you do if you purchased this property? He goes, I would just put a house at the back. I'm like, well, that's not really maximizing. And he goes, I'm like, why? He goes, because blah 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 blah. It'll be easier. Da, da, da. You don't have to spend 2-3 years on this project, and you'll be generating income while you're doing it. And you could sell it for this much. I'm like, bullshit. You can't sell it for that much. And he gave me a freaking list, right? And I got really excited. I was like, no way. I was checking RP data. I was like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. It just kept happening. And
Same
then
name coming up.
well, not the name, but like he gave me the addresses of properties that he's done, and then I was like, okay, so I after I confirmed it, I was like, I'm catching a flight to come see you tomorrow. Like the next day, like that morning, I caught the 6 o'clock flight, flew, and I wanted to meet this guy in person just to see if he's legit, right? And because it's a bit harder to lie when you're in person, obviously. And yeah, he was legit, and yeah, we've done a few of those projects. Look, they're great, but there are some things wrong with them. But for a beginner person to get into development, you know.
So we're talking about a granny flat build that ticks all the boxes for an established dwelling build, and it's got all the same rules and regulate. Like it's got everything that's there, and then you just strata subdivide it, and it's done.
Well, it's a house,
which you can't do in New South Wales.
Yeah,
which you can't do in New South Wales. Yeah. MVP. When you mention your town planner, MVP your team, right? Someone
most valuable player or minimum valuable, most minimum viable product. Which one is it?
Minimum viable product, right?
Okay.
So test. So if you're engaging a new contractor for whatever reason, test them with something small. Because if they're okay or mediocre, they probably can hide it. But if they're shit, even on a small job, they're going to show, right? Because it's going to be pretty consistent. So you're really just trying to identify shit. If it doesn't stink, then it's like, oh well, give them the benefit of the doubt. But test small. So I did a renovation, with someone that we all know, and I don't know if she wants me to name her name. But yeah, you know who I'm talking about, Joe. And yeah, I had to test. I tested a whole bunch of people, and when I asked them, I gave them the brief, which was, can you do a subdivision for under $40,000, right? And everyone just came back to me and said, oh, 100. And then somebody like, I could do it. I'll give it a go. I don't want to give it a go. Like, bloody hell, that's my money. But then she came along and said, I can do it, and I've done regional deals. I've done it before, and I've done regional deals, and it made me go, hey, maybe. But still, I still don't know. She could just be saying that. So
pretty confident though.
Yeah, she's confident, but that doesn't mean it's for sure, right? So she gave me, she's like, well, instead of engaging her off the bat, just roll the dice. No, she said that she would do a renovation plan for me. So I don't know, it costs a couple $1,000s. I'm like, man, if she's crap, if this renovation plan sucks, then I just lost a couple $1,000s rather than losing tens of thousands of dollars. So it's okay to lose, but lose small. And I think that if you can ingrain that into your process as a developer, as a business owner, however you want to frame it, it makes a huge difference because you can act faster. So I'm entering a new area, a new strategy. I would test multiple town planners. For example, I would engage 4 to 5, and each one, I got one charging me $500, and I think the guy spoke to me like 15 minutes. I don't know what the hourly rate for that is, but I tested him. I'm okay to lose $500 because potentially I could lose tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands if this is not the right guy. So just MVP. That's how I'm able to identify the right people to work with, because I'm not afraid to lose that initial money. In terms of key learnings, one of them would be that do something scalable. That's just more maybe my own personality, but it has to be something that's got legs. You don't want to learn everything about a strategy. Like we're talking, like I said, my first rooming deal, it took me 6 months before I kind of got my head around everything, right? It needs to be something that's scalable, right? And you need to know where you are in the cycle of the market. Right now, rooming is hot, but there was a period where, we couldn't get funding, like no one even knew about it, like it was a completely different time, just a couple of years later. So it has to be something that's scalable. And also don't take advice from someone. Sorry, that's not really the question, but I'll say it anyway. Don't take advice from someone who hasn't done what you want to do. It's really important because it's really easy to fall into that trap because of the well intentions, but who knows what their circumstance was. Maybe they just bought it 20 years ago. That doesn't mean they're really good at investing. They just happened to buy it 20 years ago. That was it. That's as sophisticated as they were. In terms of joint venture, I don't really do them. I do them with family and friends, but because again, the personality, it's really, really critical, because if you have a bad experience, I've seen this where people have made money, and then if you ask them would they work together again, they say no, right?
Yeah.
So what does that tell you? And they made a lot of money,
yeah,
but you still say no. And I've had clients, right, that I thought I knew, and I wouldn't work with them again. And when they ask me, hey, let's go off our next one, I've told them like, oh, sorry, I'm at capacity, in a nice way, in a polite way. But you have to be selfish.
You don't know what somebody's like until you've got money on the line with them. That's when the true colors start to come out largely.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's not worth, I'm thin skinned. If I don't like you, I don't like you. It's not worth it.